Hey, okay, looks like we're live. Hello, this is the live 3-arc stream with David. Now, if you hear an echo or you can't hear me very well in the live stream, please let me know in the chat so I can fix it right away. And I'll go ahead and do that. But on my end, everything looks good. We have a guest today with this live stream of April 27th, 2025. So the purpose of this live stream is to do a recap of the project work I've done all week long, and mention that what I'm currently working on, and then also for other Dungeon Masters to join us and talk about their campaigns for the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign. Doesn't matter what timeline you're running your campaign in the area of the Verbobonc, Gnarly Forest, Cron Hills, Selene, Wild Coast, Divers, City of Verbobonc, Luna, even Furundi. So if you're running a campaign in the area, no matter what timeline you're running in, you can still use the website, the Verbobonc Campaign Guide 576 Common Year for your campaign. There's only a few different changes for a couple key NPCs that might be different on your timeline, but most of it is still static locations, like the Village of Hamlet. It's always going to be the Village of Hamlet. So right now I'm going to go ahead and go to another screen and make sure if anybody's chatting here. I don't see anybody chatting. So let me switch over here. Let's see, get the right screen up. Okay, so look, so today, this week, we have a guest. We have Randy. He's one of our diligent and expert dungeon masters for Greyhawk campaigns that frequent our 3-Orcs Discord channel every week, every day. We talk about this stuff all day long, collaborate. We review the work we're doing, the project status, and the results, and we discuss different options and go over this stuff and talk about this all day long. And we also communicate and answer questions to other dungeon masters out there too that come join us, and it's all focused on this area of the Flanness, which is the Viscounty area. And my project is really focused on the Temple of Elemental Evil. But like I said before, you don't have to be running that module to run all these villages that are keyed in the area and all these other side quests. You can turn them into main quests, because I use a lot of living Greyhawk modules to flush this area out, including their quest, like the Gift of Beauty or Noble Ambitions. You can still run these campaigns and not have anything to do with the Temple of Elemental Evil if you don't want to. So right now, I just want to say hi to Randy. Thank you, Randy, for joining us this week. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, let me go ahead and make sure we have something on screen here besides looking at ourselves. I'll bring up a map. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. I'll let you guys look at Nolb. So this is the Nolb map I made for the project for running the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign. Real quick, though, I want to go over what I did all week. I don't have a lot to report because I was focusing on creating the Dungeon Masters Guild module for the Village of Nolb. Now, the Village of Nolb originally in the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign was written by Frank Mencher, only keyed 4 locations. And in the module, in the DM notes section, it expected the Dungeon Master to flush out the area and expand the campaign. So depending on what kind of, how much time you have is how much you'll expand it. And a lot of people over the years have done that. And I've used a lot of guidance from some of these Dungeon Masters in the past to flush this out. Now, this map that you're looking at right here, I used the previous maps, the older maps, as a guide. So a lot of the buildings and paths and the water is similar because I used them as a template. And in the 576, 578 Common Year era, there's a lot of activity here because the Temple of Elemental Evil is on the second rise, the second rising of the temple. And they're recruiting heavily, and they're collaborating, working with a lot of organizations in the campaign world, a lot of bandits, a lot of brigands, pirates, slavers, temple agents. And so the village is truly a hive of scum and villainy. And all these locations you see on the map are keyed. All you got to do is put your cursor over each of these numbers, and I'll pull up an article with NPCs and a lot of artwork. And I don't expect the Dungeon Master to use all these locations, but at least they're all there, depending on what your players do and where your campaign's heading. And so you can use these, you can leave or take these locations as you see fit in your campaign. So real quick, what I did during the week, so let me pull that up real quick here. Doop. Old. Okay. So I worked on the a faction. It's a organization called for the Renee, and I created two actually. We talked about this last week, and so the two real quick is the House Vicori, which is an old Atloi family, which is landbound Renfolk. And I created an article for them. And I showed that last week. I also created a quest to go with it and I talked about this last week about Serena's missing from the campaign. Serena is part of the video game and she's a gypsy, and in the game, they didn't really talk much. There's not a lot of background to her. So I went ahead and flushed that out and made her a Renfolk. And she belongs to the House Vicori from that family that's camped out to the south. I'll look at the map here. And if you scroll south through the map, there is a campsite right here. There's the Forest Road, High Road. It's the one that goes right towards Twilight Falls. And then on the south border, can you see that? Yeah. That's Pilgrim's Way, which goes to the Temple of Elemental Evil. So the Renee camp doesn't necessarily have to be there on the map spot. It could be off map because the way I described it in the module is they're pretty much further away from Null. So I created those two articles. So recapping what I did last week. And then I also created another article for a Renfolk barge. And I created that first because that's originally what I thought I was going to do. And then after I finished that article for the barge, and they do arrive in Null to do some trade or illicit trade, they do get involved with things. And as a Dungeon Master, you can choose to use them if you want. Yes. But I went ahead and keyed the NPC Serena, who's a hostage in the brothel. And I'll show you where the brothel is. Scroll up to the top here. So there's the Boatman's Tavern, number 4, at the docks. And 22 is the brothel. It's a walled compound. And she's a prisoner there. So it's another plot hook. You go rescue her, and you can become friends with this Renfolk from the landborn ones. And they're very instrumental because they get around. But we talked all about that last week. So they're very instrumental into the campaign, I believe. And if you become friends with them, they'll be very useful. They can sneak you in and out and stuff like that. All right. So besides that, I don't want to repeat myself from last week. I updated Yaddick, the church here. It's 48. Yeah, Church of the Elder Eye. I did a lot of updates, just minor updates, just fixing things, because what's interesting is this website is an online article website that puts it all together, and I can always return to these articles and edit them and update them. And sometimes you'd have to do that after creating other articles. Then you go back to a previous one and update it based on that new NPC or organization. So you can get them all interconnected. It's all about connecting the dots. So I did a lot of that through the week, just updating and going back. It's exhaustive work to constantly be refreshing all these locations and NPCs. Besides that, we'll talk about this a little bit after we talk to Randy. But real quick, I wanted to show you this real quick here, just to give you a preview of what we're going to talk about a little bit later. You see this map? Let's scroll in. So this is the Baroness Manor. That's the lower level. It's in work in progress. It's not done yet. A lot of it, the inside's already done. I still got to go through it again and again and again, adding little details and objects. This building to the right is the upper level. And I created this map based on the image. It's an updated image of the Baroness Manor also on the website. And so I created the shape of this map to that. Back here is the stables. And so all the grounds around the building, I still haven't even tackled yet. I want to add like fences and rocks and bushes and brush and horses and trails and roads and corrals and all sorts of stuff. So that way, this is important. Now, there's battle areas. So Nulb is a battleground eventually, depending on how much trouble the players cause. And so you have a VTT map of Boatman's Tavern, Waterside Tavern, the brothel, the marketplace, and I expect the Baroness Manor will be one of those two because she's like in the middle of everything. So that's why I'm creating this map. So let's go ahead and return back to the map here. Let's see. If anybody has any questions in chat, let me know. Got to check my chat nobody said anything yet, but we can answer questions here about the campaign too. All right, so now that I did a brief update of what I did all week, let's go to Randy. So Randy, he's one of our esteemed dungeon masters with decades of experience in Greyhawk. And he's been around and he knows quite a few people in the industry over the years, and he's been involved with a lot of this, and he's been very useful in this project, and he's working on stuff too. So Randy, hi, thank you for joining again.
Hey, good to be here.
So Randy, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your history of Greyhawk and D&D?
Well, I started playing in the early 80s, I think, box set, that kind of thing. So that was the beginning. Been to many Gen Cons, was an RPG ADM for a long time. I mostly keep to myself. I don't really socialize with folks too much. So if you haven't heard of me, then that's probably the way I want it. Yeah, I've been playing Greyhawk exclusively. I haven't really done a lot with the other campaign settings. It's pretty much sticking with the Verbobonc area, especially when Living Greyhawk came out. I found that material to be fairly outstanding, personally. I know that's a different time period than what your campaign is set for. But
Living Greyhawk did create all those locations, though.
True.
All those villages and organizations,
yep.
like the Gnarly Rangers, the Druids of the Gnarly.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Anna's map, is part of that, which is outstanding. And I just want to tell everybody that's watching that, David's cartography skills are awesome. If nothing else, the maps are beautiful. So
thank you. I appreciate that. I spend way too much time working on them.
It's time consuming.
I don't like doing it.
Right. Yeah, I have some maps that I made too, and I'm not nearly as good at it. So it's kind of funny because we all started off with pencil and paper and graph paper and stuff like that, and just the electronic tools that are available now that are just amazing.
Now, real quick thing about that though, I made a new video coming out in a couple of days about mapping, and I was playing this other video game called Kingdom Come 2: Deliverance 2. It's a medieval, realistic slice of life in Bohemia, 1407, Bohemia, and it's really realistic. The map is impressive, and so I was walking around looking at the buildings and the trails and the pond, and so I did a short video about that. But I came to a realization. Either, I think, in my opinion, do it the old school way, simple, like they used to, or go all out and do full, total, to the T quality. Because most of these maps that you find online are very poor. There's just basically somebody that really doesn't have a lot of mapping experience, and they just get a mapping app and they start throwing down objects. Okay, here's a building. Maybe you put stuff in it. Okay, I'm done. And they probably only made one or two maps their entire life. And you can see those kind of maps on the internet. They're very simple. And I feel like sometimes if it's doesn't have no rhyme or reason or vibe or a theme, it kind of distracts, I think. And I think that's where a lot of this gets a bad rap. For those kind of maps give mapping programs like this a bad rap.
Well, it's also too, what are you having that map for? Are you going to print it and throw it on the table, or are you going to use a VTT? And
well, VTT is big.
Oh yeah. I had a gaming table that was basically a 55-inch television on a pool table, and when that TV burned out, I bought a new one, but I just haven't gotten around to building a new table for it, and that's. So I'm stuck doing the old Mondo mat from Chessex and drawing stuff with my crappy artistic ability, and my throwing miniatures on there. Of course, the guys, we all play with the miniatures too, even on the VTT. So we don't use the tokens or anything like that. It gives them a sense of, holding on to the miniatures. Plus, it gives me new things to print. So if I
Yeah.
ever see a
I do
picture
that
of my,
too. If you look behind me, that's a 3D printer.
oh, is that a Mars
Yeah, Mars 2 Pro.
Glue? Oh, okay.
Might be a Mars 3. I just upgraded it, and I haven't used
Yeah.
it in a couple months.
Yeah, I just printed a huge dragon with mine from Curse of Strahd. Can't remember the name of it. It was a undead silver dragon of some kind. There's a guy out there that he does incredible work, all free, which is an awesome resource. But MZ 380 something, I can't remember. Oh wow,
It's my bear.
nice.
It's not hollow, so it's heavy.
Yeah. Well, that's another skill too. If you're doing 3D printing, you learn to hollow that stuff out so you save some resin.
Yeah. I got a lot of trial and mistakes. I teach. I run a D&D program for a prep school, and we had a model miniature painting day, and I 3D printed up all the models for the kids to teach them how to paint that day, and half of them broke while they were doing.
Oh, geez.
I got that new stuff. What's that stuff called? The stuff that's rubbery. I did mix it with the rubbery stuff, but they still broke it.
Yeah, there's flex resin that you can mix.
Well, that's it. They still broke.
And I haven't had a whole lot of success with that personally. I had printed a couple of you know the oh yeah. Oh geez, that's got a little string on it too, doesn't it?
That's a bow. Half the bow.
A bow, yeah. I see that. Wow.
So
I don't see too many miniatures that actually have the string on it, on the bow. Or is that an arrow? I can't tell.
There is a string.
Oh, okay.
I pay for my models, so I pay for them online. Patreon. If you join my Patreon, you get all your stuff for free, all these maps and stuff. But become a member, you get access to the higher resolution stuff.
Shameless plug.
That's right. And also, you support the project if you want to see it keep going. But yeah, I'm a role player in Theater of the Mind, but I like miniatures. I like painting miniatures. I guess that's probably a lie. And I print them, and I use them at the table. And I have a really cool. I don't have it in here. I have that Professor Dungeon Master round map that he makes. You know, the styrofoam map. And I have that, and I like it on the table and stuff. But we don't focus on it. Because what I do is I have the players describe their action. I describe what happens. They describe their action. And then we move the miniatures after the fact. So because if I find somebody rolling dice and moving the miniature first without describing their action, I stop them in their tracks and say, hey, got a role play. It's a role-playing game. Stop doing that. I just moved my guy over here, and he starts rolling dice. What are you doing? I'm firing my arrow. Hold on. Wait a minute. What are you firing the arrow at? He goes, oh, one of them. They go, hold on, wait. He starts rolling again. They go, one of the Sturges. Then he starts rolling again. Wait a minute. Hold on. Which Sturge are you aiming your arrow at? He goes, where are they again? I had to describe where they're at. He goes, okay, the one on the ceiling. And he starts rolling again. And it's like pulling teeth trying to get him to role play.
Oh yeah, we all have challenging players. I've got an online only Temple of Elemental Evil campaign going on where I think we've got 10 players right now. And I'm using Greyhawk Grognard's T0. What's it called?
It's a journey to Hamlet.
Yeah, Journey to Hamlet. That's what it's called.
So I got the map open right now. So he takes this road to Humming's End, past Oakvein, right?
Let me switch.
So he starts in Narwhal in the Wild Coast.
Yeah. Yep. Narwhal in the Wild Coast.
This map doesn't go that far.
Right. Yeah, I used Anna's map. So he's got in the module, he's got a kind of a blow up of the old, black and white Darlene map, and then he kind of draws the path through there.
Unfortunately, it's not accurate nowadays because Anna Myers is now the de facto canon of locations in Greyhawk. So his doesn't follow that.
I mean, the cool thing about Greyhawk is that it is what you make of it. There is no such. I mean, there is canon, but it's what you say it is, really,
True.
for your own campaign. I mean, Gary was very adamant about that, which is why I love
I
it.
agree. I get that. This website with 1,500 articles and all these villages and locations detailed out is based on the locations where they're at in Living Greyhawk.
Yeah, and that's basically where the time frame. My face-to-face game on, I do once a month, have my people over to my house, and the face-to-face game is Living Greyhawk. So I'm currently in that one. I'm in 593. We're doing the armor class module right now, and Ron Lundeen is the. Forgive me if Ron is watching this and I don't spell or pronounce his name correctly, but a lot of really good material by these guys. Ron's material is excellent. I just ran. It was supposed to be the intro module, but I kind of beefed it up a little bit. It's the one with House Chandel and the bridge, the troll bridge. I don't know if you remember that one or not. It's the intro module. I didn't look up what that is actually, but basically his son is a undead creature that rampages the countryside and kills Lady Asbury's entourage. It's called. Gotta look it up here.
While you look it up, Daniel Bow, he stated that, so I bought the Troika game, the Atari video game version of the Temple, and very much enjoyed it. I wonder why the powers that be stopped with just that module. There's a lot of Dungeon Masters in our 3 Orcs channel that I was working on Nulb, and they brought this up about, hey, you're missing Serena from the video game. And I go, oh, really? Okay, I'll look into that. And they went on and on about how they love that game. One of the Dungeon Masters, he's been on this channel before. He's played that game so many times that he played every single alignment and finished it and saw the different ending. That's how much he loved that game.
Never played it, not even once.
And he also said, I would love to see much more classic modules turned into video games to play. I had a dream last week. I did.
I had a dream.
So, the guys that did that, I guess they're in China. That company that did the D&D one, the latest one, the one that's really popular. So they called me.
Shit. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they called me. They said, David, we'll give you $1 million. No.
I was going to say, and then you woke up.
They said, we want to use your website. We want to use all your lore, all your articles, all your NPCs, all your map. Well, not the maps, probably. And we want to create an MMO, an EverQuest, a World of Warcraft for the Temple of Elemental Evil. And we want to expand the entire area for the play area, all these locations from the Wild Coast. No, probably have to include the City of Greyhawk. So everything west of the City of Greyhawk and probably far west as Valuna, everything north of the Lorville Mountains, and everything south of Fiorante, or the border of Uis, I'm sure. And that's what they wanted to do. And they wanted it to be the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign. And I thought, man, I could be a project lead for that.
And then you woke up.
Yeah, well, I got my $1 million first.
He's blowing it all on a yacht somewhere, right?
I thought it was a good idea. Oh, yeah. So Daniel said Baldur's Gate 3.
That's what it is. Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah. That module's called Teeth of the Storm, by the way. It's an intro 3-03. It's got Baron Cossack Chandel.
Wait a minute. What's the number again? Intro what?
Intro 3-03, Teeth of the Storm.
I thought the generic modules were a different designation.
No, this is a VER Intro 3-03, Teeth of the Storm. It's a cool module.
I must have it.
I got one of my players that is big into the Scooby-Doo kind of mystery, solve the mystery things, which is why Armor Class is good and why Teeth of the Storm is good for this guy.
Okay, I pulled up my list. I got way too many notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so 03 DOS what?
-03. There's like 3 intro modules for Verbobonc in the 593 year. So we've got Cat Burglar, Hunting We Will Go.
I'm looking for it on my list. I took all the modules on my notepad and I categorized. I could put them in the categories of plot lines. 303.
Yeah.
303.
Because they do follow certain plot lines.
303.
I run them basically in order.
There it is. Found it.
So
It's called
Okay.
Glory Dimmed, Ironwood, the Moon Lord, Lord Shannis, and Reinhurst.
No, that's the normal one, VER 3-03, Glory Dimmed.
Yeah.
This one is VER Intro 3-03. They're like intro modules. They were meant to be first level. I think I actually ran
Dang.
one of them. I think it was Cat Burglar. I can't remember.
I don't have any of the intro modules at all. I don't know
Really?
why. I don't have
Well, I
them.
was at RPG ADM, so back in the day.
What state?
It was in Michigan, actually.
What was Michigan?
I mean, actually, I lived in Michigan at the time. I wasn't an LG. I wasn't on staff or anything like that. I think Michigan was Friandi.
Oh.
I think.
They did a pretty good job of Fiorandi. I saw their modules and their maps. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah. The Living Greyhawk campaign was just astounding. That the level of dedication that some folks had, like Vernon, Vincent, and Ron. I mentioned before. These guys were very dedicated, and
Yeah, they were.
I know some people kind of throw shade at Living Greyhawk, mostly because it's post-war stuff, but they don't really reference the wars, Greyhawk wars at all. So,
True.
I mean, if you don't want to include that kind of stuff, then you don't have to. That's why I love Greyhawk. Some people are like, I hate wars and hate 576 or whatever.
Yeah, their main gripe is how it changed the vibe of the world.
Yeah.
Daniel said, so yeah, in my opinion, Trioka and Atari should have kept going against the giant. They kept going with video games like Against the Giants, Vault of the Drow, and end with the Queen of the Demon Wet Pits.
That is definitely our wet dream.
I don't know why they stopped. I honestly don't know.
Well, I think it might be like IP or I don't know, copyright stuff. I mean, you got to have like permission to do that.
He said, oh, well, at that time, I think wasn't at the end of TSR days or the beginning of WotC?
Oh, you mean why didn't they do it back then?
Yeah, because he's talking about the Temple of Elemental Evil video game by Atari.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know. I would think that would be really hard. I mean, Temple was itself, it was really hard. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
Against the Giants would be another tough one.
I don't know. Against the Giants are pretty much self-contained dungeons.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I was actually thinking slave lords. My bad.
Yeah, that would be hard. Yeah, Slave Lords isn't really conducive to that kind of online video game type play.
Yep.
It's too much role playing and going from town to town, and these other modules that are contained dungeons. That's perfect for a video game.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, Daniel said the lack of popularity and profit margin, maybe. Probably.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with the transition from TSR to WotC. So, because TSR at the end was out of money.
Right. Well, that's probably why they got bought out.
Yeah. Yeah, I pushed those 3 books on people on my YouTube channel to go buy them. The biography of Gary Gygax is 3 of them. And I'm always telling people to buy and read them. It talks about that stuff.
Yeah, Gary was a cool dude.
Yeah, I didn't personally work. I didn't personally work with him. My boss was I can't remember his name now. And I didn't work with him directly. It was like 89 anyway. They hired me at 89, and I was finished at the beginning of 92. So, but yeah, he was gone by then. So, but
I
yeah,
used to go to conventions and stuff. I mean, I used to see him all
I'm
the
West
time at
Coast.
Gen Con.
But I'm West Coast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I couldn't
See,
afford to go out there.
Right.
I had no money. I was poor.
Well, yeah, they had. I mean, Gen Con was in Milwaukee for a while. My first Gen Con was actually at University of Wisconsin Parkside, I believe was called. It was Gen Con 17, I think. And then it was in Milwaukee for a while, and now it's in Indianapolis, which I live in 2 hours from Indianapolis, so I usually go every year. But I run games there. I don't actually play.
Well, it's a convention right now this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all the guys on YouTube are there right now, including Greyhawk, Ragnar.
Yeah. He's doing his Battle of Emerald Meadows miniatures game, I believe.
Oh.
I'd love to see that.
It's on. I think it's called Wizard Con or something.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so they're all busy doing that. I lost a taste for conventions a long time ago because I had my own. I was CEO of my own convention through the early '90s. Hexacon. I invented Hexacon, and that lasted 9 years. But I quit after the first 2 years. I got tired.
Yeah, I mean, us introverted people, it gets really, really bogs me down. I mean, after 4 days of running games, I'm ready to go take a nap, go home and hibernate for a year. It's just really draining. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I love doing it, and I love making things, doing games for people and that kind of thing. I'm not going to do it this year. Got too much other stuff going on. I may not even attend Gen Con this year, but
I feel like my efforts aren't appreciated, so I just lost a taste to go. Daniel said that. So to circle back, if Wizards can get everyone back on board and get this, that's not going to happen. And this VTT, this VTT they've been working on back under track, that's not going to happen. Could then be very creative. Then very creative people can use that to do what I suggested above. So somebody's going to buy. Somebody's going to buy. All the other YouTube channels talk about this. That somebody else is going to buy it out. They're going to, what do you call it? They're going to let somebody else handle it. And that's what they're positioning themselves to do right now. Everybody left, right? Everybody quit.
Oh, Wizards? They quit?
Yeah, anybody left. There's nobody left. It's just a bunch of pencil pushers now.
Yeah.
And they're using AI art too. So there's nobody left. And they're all saying in all the videos that it's going to be farmed out. So hopefully something good comes of that.
What, Greyhawk IP is going to be farmed out?
No, D&D.
Oh wow, the whole.
Yeah.
It's gonna be I don't really keep up on that kind of stuff. Honestly, I'm too busy with my own campaigns.
Well, that's what they're discussing. That's the rumors. But I don't really care as long as they let me sell this stuff on DM's Guild. Speaking of which, another thing I was doing all week was working on the Village of Nob, the module. So as you know, I already have 4 modules out in the DM's Guild, and it's required to do all the stat blocks in 5e, which I do. But everything else in the module is all lore and dialogue. So it's not really any game specific. There's some game specific rules in there, like a knowledge check or something, but that's about it. But anyway, my 5th module is going to be the Village of Nob, and I've been working hard on it because I haven't published a module since last Christmas. I can't believe it's April already. Dang it, I need to get this done, and it's going to be huge. I'm on page 100 already. It's going to be a huge module. I hope my computer can handle it.
Didn't you just publish a thing about the personalities of the temple hierarchy?
Yeah, that was my 4th module. It's basically all the leadership of the Temple of Elemental Evil and all the
that was a few months ago.
Plots and everything.
Mm-hmm.
and that's going really well. Everything is copper bestseller or silver bestseller right now. So, but when this Nulb comes out, it's gonna blow all that stuff away. It's gonna be huge because everybody needs Nulb to run the module, and and you saw the map, and it's really well keyed. All this, all the base articles are on the website that you can use at your table, but I have to go through them and severely edit them and make and smooth them over and go over it carefully and rewrite a lot of this stuff to make it better. Because when you write these articles online, like I said before, you can always edit it later, make it better or fix something or change something. But when you publish a module, you can't just call somebody up, hey, I changed something on page 33. I'm going to give you another copy.
Right.
You can't do that.
Well, doesn't DM's Guild when you update it in DM's Guild, doesn't it like send out an email or something to everybody? Saying that
but you got to limit it. Then you look, if you do it too often, you look like amateur, amateur hour. So I'm going over. So what I'm trying to say is I'm going over it very carefully. It's a huge upgrade versus the online version of it. And I'm using every square little tiny bit of space on every page. It makes sure it's formatted perfectly with the artwork and all the dialogue and all the stat blocks. And so it's a really nice piece of work. It has value. It's worth having. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot of stat blocks. This 5e stat blocks takes way too much room. I wish I could condense them heavily, but I'm afraid somebody will complain if I condense them too much.
Somebody already complained, didn't they?
I was about something else.
Oh, okay.
About something else. Yeah,
that's why I play Pathfinder.
I learned I have to double check the stat blocks to make sure they're accurate. Things like that. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on all week, and I want to get this done by the end of next week so I can publish it. And I need some people that are really going to review this and go through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure there isn't any major mistakes before I release it. And it has to be done in a timely manner so I can release it, because every day I delay releasing it, it's costing me money, because this is going to sell. Like sell. I'm going to probably sell like 1,000 copies. And every day I delay it is, it's just delaying. I want to strike while the iron's hot, because right now Greyhawk's huge. It's on fire right now. Everybody wants to run Greyhawk. A lot of people are coming in waves, and they're eating this stuff up. So I don't want to take too long getting this module out, because this is probably my biggest one.
Cool.
Yeah, I hope so. Oh, real quick about the hard copy. John D asked about that. Daniel's asking some more questions. John D asked, hey, I want a hard copy. I want a print copy. And I looked into it, and you have to be a gold seller to offer print on demand modules on DM's Guild.
Oh, that's good to know.
So none of my stuff's gold yet. All the Joseph Block stuff is gold. He did the player's handbook and the DM guide for Greyhawk. I reviewed a couple of those already for him on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, he's doing it for 5e. So, but yeah, okay. So, real quick, circle back. So Daniel said, if that's bought out and they finish it, it could one day see a very creative person make a video game for the G1 through 3, D1 through 3, and the Q1. He also said person or team. So I don't know if Daniel knows this or not, and I don't know if some of you out there don't know, but we talked about Joseph Block. So he is Greyhawk Ragnar. He has a lot of modules for sale on the DM's Guild. He did the DM's guide, the Dungeon Master guide, and the Player's Handbook, and a bunch of whole other modules like for orcs and clerics. He sells on DM's Guild, and they're getting a lot of good reviews, and they're all gold status. Well, he has a different view. He's changed the Temple of Elemental Evil for the better. So he knew Gary Gygax too. He's got 15 years of blogs on the subject, of some interviews and his own investigation into all these modules, like the G's and the D's, and what happened with Frank Mencher and Gary Gygax when he handed his notes over to Frank, why Noble only has 4 locations, why there's Tharizdun and it's not connected anymore to Loth and the Q1, and a lot of people want all that connected where that's originally intended to be connected. And so he did all this investigation, and he he created 3 modules. The T0 module, which is a different starter position in the campaign. He starts at the Wild Coast in Arwell and gets to Hamlet. My campaign starts in the city of Verbobonc. Other people's campaigns start in Divers. Then he wrote the T5 module, which adds a 5th level to the dungeon, and that's where the temple of the Elder Elemental God is, the shrine. And you can
that's a nice one.
Yeah, he did that one. Then he wrote the Q2 module, which connects this all together in this great epic arc of a campaign series. This as originally intended. It's really exciting. And so all my work is based on all that. All these locations, all these NPCs, and all these quests and side quests and story arcs. It's all with that in mind. I'm using his as my foundation of how this campaign's playing out, just to let you know.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. So, Randy, what's going on with your Verbobonc campaign right now in using this campaign stuff that I've been putting together? What are you doing?
Well, I haven't gotten to so like I said, I have 2 campaigns that I'm running. One is a online only with 10 players playing the Temple of Elemental Evil, and I'm doing the T0 module. Once that's done, they're actually a couple days out of Hamlet. They've been attacked brutally by bandits a couple times, totally brutalized, managed to survive. And then I'm probably going to start dipping into some of you've got quite a few cool like little side quests that are kind of neat. And like I said earlier, I play Pathfinder rules, 1st edition. So in the Greyhawk campaign setting, and so the monsters might be a little bit different, but the concept's still cool. Like go help out the woodcutter because he's got some kind of critters in the woods that are causing problems, and I think I found the appropriate Pathfinder monster for that. So you have some pretty cool side hustles going on in Hamlet before they get to the meat and drink of the moat house. And the thing that I love about that the original module is that it has that paragraph in there. It says if the players come in and whack some of the some of the people in there, they kill some monsters or whatever, then this timer goes off where it's like, okay, then they're going to start to replenish, and once and then after they replenish to their original numbers, they actually grow, and it's like when I ran that, I've run Temple of Elemental Evil many times over the years, and I've only had one group come close to defeating it, simply because it's like if they spend all their time leveling up, going to Verbobonc, buying magic items, goofing off, I mean the temple's not idle. It doesn't wait for somebody to come down there and kill them. I mean they recruit and they grow. And so this is why I like Greyhawk, Ragnar's and your work on how does that actually happen? What is the mechanism that makes that the recruitment happens? How does that work? And so when you have these little these little side castles or whatever hideouts for these people to like gnolls and and bugbears and stuff like that, they have these bosses that do all this recruiting, and they do it for the earth temple or the water temple or for the high temple, and it's just in all the inner politics that happens in there. It's just really cool to have a game mechanism to show how that actually happens. So if they snap off those tendrils, all of a sudden the water temple has no flow of recruits.
Sure.
And so when they go down there and whack them, then that tentacle of evil is gone, right? So that's why, and I didn't flesh that out in my years and years of playing, which is why I really appreciate, Greyhawk Ragnar's work and yours, in saying, okay, well, where do these gnolls come from? Where do these bugbears come from? And that I'm always very sensitive to the ecology of the realm. So it's like, well, we have this den of 400 kobolds. So where do those guys come from? And how come nobody's come down there and beat them all, right?
Right.
The Fens of Tor, there's, I don't know, someone says, oh, there's a froghemoth or something in there. And it's like, how come nobody's gotten rid of that? That's kind of dangerous to be, right next to Lady Asbury's lands, etc. So
there's reasons you gotta flush them out.
Yep.
Because nobody's done it yet, like you said. Now, you're probably referring to the article I wrote for the Temple of Elemental Evil recruitment article I have on screen right now. And basically, I have it broken down by recruitment by faction.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put your cursor over like the name of an NPC, it brings up their sub article. And if you click on it again, you can go to their article and look at all the artwork and more information. And then below that is key recruiting agents. So you have Commander Feldrin, Commander Barkanor, and Commander Degugum. You have elite recruiters, the people in Nulb, like Dick Wrench, Lareth, Lucius Graham, Smigmol, and Captain Vesric. He's a slaver from the Wild Coast with ties to the Scarlet Brotherhood. And then below that is the monsters. Who replaces the monsters? So these are the key NPCs that recruited those specific tribes. And these tribes are located in the world. So your players can go after them. Also, you will know where these recruits are coming from. So the players could come across these reinforcements coming to that location, like the Moat House or the Temple of Elemental Evil or the Hunting Cabin. So the Blackthorn tribe, all about them and who recruited them. And then there's the Iron Claw Bugbear clan, Southern Gnarly. And you got the Jagged Fang Knoll tribe from the Lort Mountains. They're on the map. The map has a DM only layer. So that way, if players are looking at the map, they were not going to see these dungeons. And then below that is faction breakdown chart. I know people like charts. And below that is recruitment sources, where they come from. And now below here is what you're referring to, their daily recruitment rate and their monthly totals. So basically, they're getting like 200 low-level humanoids a month, 70 high-level humanoids a month, and 28 monsters a month. And this is all based off the numbers in the module, the Temple of Elemental Evil original modules. So exactly. I know a lot of Dungeon Masters don't read everything, and people are surprised when they see this stuff. Also,
it makes that module really hard to defeat when you realize. So creating those locations and stuff like that, where you're snipping off that flow of enemies, is actually really important for them to do. Otherwise, they're fighting this uphill battle.
Yes. And also, you got to find also the Moat House too, and other faction outpost out there too. There's more than just the Moat House. That the Earth Temple and the Water Temple can also have an outpost out there too, and they are on the map, by the way. And if you want to use them in your campaign, and sometimes the players ignore that stuff and go right past it. But if they express an interest, those locations are there. So basically, this is where I got the idea from. The Moat House has gnolls and bugbears, and in the Moat House, it does tell you why they're there and what's going on with them, the politics involved. So now we know who they are, we know the tribe they're with, and we know where that tribe's from, and we know what to do, whatever the players do. So if the players drive them out or kill them, but they don't take out Lorith yet, so you know how you can replace them with what, depending on what happens in your campaign. So now it's all here for you to use to help you make this more realistic and less vague.
Right.
Yeah. It'd be kind of cool, Can you imagine? I don't know, spending a couple days in Hamlet. let's go back to the Moat House, and then this Knoll raiding party, is on the way there too.
Mm-hmm.
You run into them, right?
Yeah, they're wandering monster.
Yeah. So it makes it more real. It brings the world to life.
Yep, it makes it make sense. It's not just some sort of like fishbowl of, you don't know why, where do these things come from? And that's why fleshing that out is really an awesome thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just like hearing when people actually use this stuff. There is a couple of DMs that are using these articles, the modules too from the DMs Guild, and also these articles online. And I like to hear the reports every week how their session went. One of them is in Australia, and he couldn't join us today because he is having bad internet connection this weekend. Hopefully, he comes on next weekend. Oh, so it looks like John D joined us. John D said, "Good evening, gentlemen." John always joins us an hour later into the stream. Thank you for joining, John.
He said, "Gentlemen."
Yeah, John D.
If you only knew.
He's been around for a long time. He's a definite Greyhawk expert. He's been running Greyhawk campaigns for decades. And I actually played in this group before.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And Daniel Bowe said, "Is all the redone work pen and paper?" I assume then. Yeah, it is. It's available in the DMs Guild. That's the only place you are allowed to sell Greyhawk material. And Daniel also said that, on a new tangent, what is everyone's favorite D&D version? Mine is 3.5, and the Pathfinder 3.5 turned into.
Daniel.
You guys are traitors.
That's right. Well, I mean, I think anybody that plays 5.0 is traitors. I mean, first edition, second edition, 3.5.
So about the Three Orcs Discord channel, most of the Dungeon Masters play different versions. There's a few 5Es, there's a few Pathfinders, there's 3.5s, there's AD&D, there's basic, and we poke fun at each other, but we don't get into arguments about it.
He's lying. We absolutely get into arguments about
it. I've been on a lot of Discord channels over the years, the last 7 years, in all these different D&D channels. And most of them are they're toxic. A lot of the people in those channels are toxic, and they're kind of cruel and mean, and with some of the nasty stuff they say. And I was never happy on most of those Discord channels. They're not very conductive. They're not useful.
Yeah, I don't ever. Nobody's ever heard of me because I don't make myself visible to that kind of stuff. That kind of negativity, I just don't really it doesn't have a place for me. So,
well, there's a lot of Discord channels that really don't talk about anything. They just gossip and talk about nothing.
Yeah.
This channel, it has a purpose. We're talking about something specific. It's one of the reasons why my channel is so small too. Because we're talking about the world of Greyhawk. We're talking about a certain section of the Flyness, which is the Verbobonc area, and we're talking about the Temple of Elemental Evil. And I'm trying to expand it to include the Wild Coast and other places like that to get more interest into the campaign setting. But it's still a narrow focus.
Well, once the temple stuff is done, I mean, you can move on to Slavers or Queen of the Demonwood Pits and that kind of thing. The Q modules or the Giants, if you wanted to.
You know what? It would be totally logical to keep going east into the Wild Coast, start creating those towns and villages based on the Living Greyhawk stuff, and then start incorporating those slaver modules into the campaign setting, because they are collaborating and working with the Second Rise of the Temple of Elemental Evil. They are. Mm-hmm. They're providing slaves. They are connections there. So
my first campaign that I ever did in Greyhawk was all Wild Coast. Yeah. I mean, this was before the temple came out, was doing Wild Coast and just made up stuff.
So about Living Greyhawk, as you know, they didn't have a state dedicated to the Wild Coast. I think it was part of the Greyhawk people or divers.
Yeah, beats me.
I think the divers people had some modules going into the Wild Coast, but they didn't actually give the Wild Coast to any of the states to handle it, to run campaigns in. So it's just kind of a shame. But there is work out there. There is like Safeton and Narwhal. They're done.
Yeah,
You can find that stuff online. The maps are done. They're kind of keyed. The basics of it, kind of like Divers is.
Yeah.
So I just need to treat it like I did with City of Verbobonc. I need to really develop it.
Right.
And I could tackle those, and then we can tackle the slaver modules, the expanded version of the slaver modules, incorporate that into the grander campaign of things that coincide with the Temple of Elemental Evil.
Yeah, the trick is trying to maintain timeline continuity, I think.
Well, that's not a problem for me. I'm 576,
I know it isn't.
578 common year, and that's when the slavers are. Slavers module is that timeline. So I don't have to worry about it.
It's like, I'm going to throw Living Greyhawk stuff in there. You know, Lady Asbury, she's 12 years old, but no, we'll make her 24, whatever. Yeah.
As I say many times, the main reason we use Living Greyhawk stuff is before the expanded locations and organizations.
Yeah.
They're the ones that did it. So the reason we have to do that, again, I'll avoid mentioning the medieval reasons, the real reasons of population and culture and stuff about having these villagers. But the thing is the map itself, the only map and the World of Greyhawk box set only showcases the capital cities, the major roads, and the major rivers, the major geographical areas. It does not show minor roads, minor towns, thorps. The village of Hamlet was there because of the module, right? The T1 module. That module for the U1, that small, I can't remember the name of that.
Saltmarsh.
Saltmarsh,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so the module brought that to life. And so Living Greyhawk did all that. It created all these villages everywhere and organizations like the Nully Rangers, the Druids, the Wizards, the Knights of Luna from Selene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. Of course I'm going to use all that. It just needs to be written up.
Yeah.
In my format, which is I use the formatting of like old school essentials, where I try to make it terse to the point with a lot of bullet points, so it's easily referenceable quickly at the table.
Yep.
Because you don't want to read this blog block of text that's a mile long in a blog looking for a certain tidbit of information while you're role playing. That'd be horrible. See, well, we got Daniel again. He said, wasn't a kick in the head that you are supposed to lose at the end of the A3? I guess he's talking about the slaver module A3 to set you up for the episode of the lack of a better phrase for naked and afraid in A4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't like that module.
Yeah. Oh man, my players were gonna kill me when I did that to them. They had no sense of humor about that whatsoever. And
okay, well,
they were pissed.
Well, think about that. Let's say we incorporate those modules into the Wild Coast area in the timeline of Temple of Elemental Evil. So the locations are there, the NPCs are there, the plot lines are there. But as a Dungeon Master, you can run that area. You don't have to follow the strict adherence to the modules the way they're written. See what I mean?
True.
You don't have to do that in A4.
I can't, man, that was so long ago. I think I had all their stuff in a chest or something on the ship that they were supposed to escape on, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So there's a reason for all that. Back in the day, like those modules, they were tournament modules for convention.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So like the people hated that one.
The C1 and the C2 module. Those are tournaments. They're fun. I love those modules, but
I ran some of them.
They're not set up for a campaign. You have to adjust them for a campaign.
True, and getting back to the Living Greyhawk stuff. You asked me about what I was doing, and the Living Greyhawk series of modules. I'm actually running all of those for my players in my face-to-face game. And it's true. What you're saying is true. It's like these were meant to be played as single, one shots in a tournament setting and at a convention. So it takes a little bit of work to kind of tie them all together. And but I'm grateful for that because there's lots of material for the Verbobonc region. So
from Living Greyhawk,
from Living Greyhawk, exactly. And so, and the travel time and, downtime in between and stuff like that. So you really can stretch out a year game time play within the confines of those modules. So at least I've found that I've been able to. So I've run the 591 and the 592, and I just started 593. So
wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We've been playing this Living Greyhawk since since COVID started. I think it was 2020.
Hey guys, I don't have a screen for this, but I need a 3-minute break. I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick, so I'll be right back. Sorry, I have to. I can't wait.
Well then, come on, somebody hop on the chat. Type in something. Daniel, say something. Anyone? He's gonna edit this out anyway, I'm sure. Maybe. But yeah, the website articles are pretty good on his site. And like I said, there you go, saying something. Good job, Daniel.
I'm back.
Wow, that was quick.
Well, I had a beer, so it went right through me. Okay.
All right.
So Daniel said saying something.
I told him when you left, I said, "Hey, somebody say something," and Daniel stepped in.
Yeah, how many people are watching right now? Can we show that on screen?
It varies. I think I saw 8, and then now we got 6.
Ooh,
I think
we're a big channel. Woo-hoo.
Oh, I know, right?
What's funny is Max over at Legion of Myth, his live streams are never more than like 40 or 45 people watching, and he's been doing this for years.
Well,
it's crazy.
I don't know that I would really want hundreds of people watching. It's kind of a distraction.
Yeah, I don't realize it because I don't see it right now. I have to look. So Daniel said, he says stuff. I like Daniel. He says stuff. Is there any corollary between Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms? You mean all the stuff that Forgotten Realms stole from Greyhawk?
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
Daniel's not my favorite guy anymore.
What's funny is I have this
blasphemy.
I have this thing about when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, Greyhawk is the de facto is D&D. Greyhawk is Dungeons and Dragons. The reason I say that is because look at all the spells, look at all the gods. It's all Greyhawk. It's all the player handbook and DM guide, all the magic items. Just because you're in Forgotten Realms doesn't mean you're just playing another campaign. Unless you change all the gods, change all those magic items, all the spells. Who's Mordecanian? Tell me that. Who's Tensor?
Yeah. Right. Tensor's floating disc. Elminster. He's like, oh yeah, I know that guy.
Yep.
But
they should have came out with a Forgotten Realms player's handbook and changed everything. That's what they should have did.
I thought they did. I thought there was some kind of a campaign guide for it. I thought.
But they didn't change all that stuff, right?
But like make Tensor's floating disc. God, I can't even think of any Forgotten Realms.
Elminster floating balls.
That's wrong.
Elminster floating sack.
Floating sack. Oh man.
Who would win in the fight, Elminster or Mordecanian?
Mordecanian. Boy. I honestly think Mordecanian would, because he is. Boy, that's a really good question.
There's been many articles about it before.
Oh, has there?
I could probably look it up.
I've never read anything about it. I think by temperament.
I don't want to do a Google search because some weird stuff might pop up.
Might.
You know,
Type
in something Google, something weird pop, something.
Yeah, bigbooties.com or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it boils down to personality. I think Mordenkainen, his personality is to win, and therefore he would. I think it would be like permanently. I don't think either of them would win. I think they've got their clones and they've got their backups and whatever. But in a straight up fight, and I'm not saying that to cast shade on Forgotten Realms, but I just think that Mordenkainen is more scheming, and that he would have planned it, and Elminster wouldn't have even seen it coming, per se. I mean, he would because of divination spells, but I don't know that he'd suspect it.
It's been a while since I read those novels, but isn't Elminster supposed to be very, very wise?
Yeah. I mean, he's actually, I think, published, I think he's higher level. I think he's like 20th level or something like that, or 22nd.
That's not fair because everything in Forgotten Realms is higher level.
Well, that's exactly true.
Gee, it's apples and oranges, because the average level of a lord in Greyhawk is around ninth level. All the kings and leaders.
Oh yeah, it's nuts. You look at some of the level. When you look at the original folio, it's like, wow, this guy who commands armies is like a 7th level or a 9th level fighter. It's like where you have in Forgotten Realms, it's like 20th level, 23rd level. These guys will just thump on a 9th level guy.
Well, Daniel was asking if they both exist on the same planet. No, they don't. They're different.
They're different. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think there are different planets in this galaxy. I think they're different realms, different planes of existence, I think.
Well, I guess it depends on whether or not you use Spelljammer or not, because
that's true.
Spelljammer has like different crystal shells that have those campaigns in it. Yeah. I dabbled with Spelljammer for a while. I liked it. But I found I used Starjammer. Wait, I think it was called Starjammer. I can't remember. It made more sense for me in my campaign. But yeah, going between is it Faerun? Is that how you pronounce the Forgotten Realms world? Faerun. Yeah. Yeah, it's a different world entirely than Earth.
Well, back to this campaign. There's a lot of stuff. I understand how it's hard for some people to find everything. So did you know that there's specialty cleric classes for this campaign that I created? So
that's a 5e thing.
So no, specialty classes are from second
TOEE, wasn't it?
TOEE,
yeah, second edition.
And so I made sure I included all the specialty cleric information in all the gods, the ones I could find anyway. And so that way, if you want to have a specialty cleric designed for that god, it's there for you. The extra spells and bonuses they get. So that's there. Also, if you look at the screen here, I created specialty cleric classes for the Temple of Elemental Evil. So let's go ahead and look at the air cult first. So the air cult, there you go. So if you wanted to, okay, they're raiding, right? So let's say the air cult has that one outpost out in that tower in the Crown Hills that I have listed. So you could put these cultists there, and it's all spelled out here. These are 5e, I think. No, it's not. It's armor class 7, but you can convert them over. Yeah, they're converted on the right-hand side. Right-hand side is the 5e stuff. So look at this. Spells. So I added custom spells. This is what's really special about it. Thunderclap, Earth Tremor, Warding Wind, Gust of Wind, Dust Devil, Skywrite, Wall of Water, Summon Elemental. So did I do that? Well, it's supposed to be air specialty spells here for air. So anyway, you can create a custom NPC in a raiding party or a location, a a priest of the air temple, and he could be actually specialized. So he has a flavor to him, not just by his looks, but the spells he casts and the weapons he uses. And it makes it much more interesting. On the right-hand side, we have the initiates, and we have the howling priests. And then below is, there's the spells right here. So some of these spells are in 5th edition, and some are not. Like Warding Wind is a 2nd level spell. That's a spell completely made up for this campaign. It's not in any of the books. So the Warding Wind is a really cool spell. It gives these NPCs an interesting flavor when you're fighting them, when you're facing off against them. So it makes it really unique. And so that's air. But what I really like is the earth. Here's the earth. So the earth is same thing. So you got all your specialty stuff. This is the weapons they can use, their armor, the spells. So I call their cult Black Earth, the cult of the Black Earth. So they have Magic Stone, Mold Earth, Earth Tremor. These are additional spells because they're specialty priests. They still got their regular cleric spells too, of course. These are just extra. Earthbind, that's a cool spell. It pulls a flying creature down from tendrils of stone from the ground that erupt. Mold Earth does it. Earth Tremor's cool. It's like a little small localized earthquake that knocks people prone. It's not a very big area. Knocks them prone. Stone Shape, Summoning Earth Elemental. I made sure they all got an elemental to cast at 4th level. Because think about it. Fire, earth, air, water, fire. And it's all here. So if you guys want to make your campaign unique, I did this for you. I created 4 specialty clerics for the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign. Hopefully you guys like it. Let's see. Daniel, again, with the work that you're doing, 3 Orcs, my name is David. Are you upgrading the levels you can obtain in Greyhawk to 20 and above with 3.5 and beyond rules? No, this is a campaign setting. It has nothing to do with the rule set. You can use any rule set you want in this campaign. The rule set and the campaign settings are 2 totally different things. Then he also asked if how does one get hold of these upgrades to the T1 through 4 module you're working on? So I haven't tackled the module itself, the dungeon itself, the ruins. I haven't tackled that. I'm saving that for last. I want to get Nold done first. I didn't think I was allowed to do that. I didn't think I was allowed to rewrite the Temple of Elemental Evil dungeon. But now that DM's Guild is allowing us to do this sort of thing, and if I follow their rules, I could rewrite it as a supplement. So that way, I'll revisit everybody else's work over the years. Because a lot of great DMs over the years did that already. And so what I'll do is I'll revisit all their findings and all their changes and what they've done. But I noticed a lot of DMs...
You kind of did with the leadership stuff.
No, I didn't. Yeah. I expanded. I didn't change.
Well, I don't know that these trying to change anything. I think that you're like expounding on something that was, they're kind of meant to be curb stomped, these elemental priests, but you gave them kind of a purpose and vision and stuff with your supplement.
Well, I expanded their personalities, their motivations, their characters, their goals.
Right.
So I expanded that, their characters development, their goals and motivations expanded as real people, as a character that is important in the campaign world. I gotta remember, all that stuff isn't at all flushed out in the module.
Right.
The personality of Romag, there's not much about what kind of guy he is.
It just has his name.
Or his background. Like, where's he from?
Right.
All this stuff. So I did cheat a little bit. Skip Williams and a couple others did write articles in Dragon Magazine about these guys. So I did visit those articles, and I pulled out information from their articles what these guys are like and their history. So it's all, I make sure I target this stuff, and I do a legitimate job. I don't just make the shit up out of nowhere and just kind of, that sounds good. I don't do that. I actually do a lot of research to find out what other great work other lore experts have done in the past, and then I expound upon that.
But I think Daniel's point is, you know, hang on a second. Oh, I misunderstood what he's asking. He just asked something else.
Well, you did say, how do you just want to get hold of these upgrades for the T1 through 4 modules you're working on? So as this project is on World Anvil, World Anvil is a great tool for authors to write novels and D&D world building campaign. It's a world building website. It's great because it has interactive maps. And it's got a lot of tools to help you do this, to flesh out their characters and personalities and motivations and relationships and all that. So it helps me stay organized to get that done. I'm running out of space. I'm only allowed 4 terabytes, and I'm at 3.5 terabytes right now. I might have to upgrade my service. So anyway, so all the original work, my original efforts are there. Then I take all that work, and then I have to rewrite it all, condense it, and put it all together so it's professional quality into a module that I sell on DM's Guild. So you'll actually, the finished product, there's a couple of reasons for why buying a module in the DM's Guild. Another reason is not because it's updated and done and formatted better, but it's a PDF module. That means you can print it up. You don't have to be online to use it. And a lot of Dungeon Masters require that they can't be online while they're running their game. And so that's why they prefer. And John D, he wasn't here when I said this previously, but he keeps asking about a print version of all of my modules. And I said previously, John, I can't do that until the modules are gold status. I have to be a gold seller on DM's Guild to be able to qualify to do print on demand. And right now, only one of my modules is silver. And so as soon as that sells a little bit more, I'll go to Electrum. Then from Electrum, it goes gold. And all my other modules are still copper. So
Daniel's got more questions.
Yeah, I see that. There's a whole bunch of questions here. Okay, I guess what I'm trying to ask is your work electronic and PDFs, or are there paper books, and if your work obtained from online store? I've not heard of DM's Guild. Okay, I see where the disconnect is. So, okay, yeah. Daniel, real quick, the DM's Guild is like the other website that sells modules, Drive-Through RPGs. I had to think about that for a moment.
That's the one, yeah. Yep.
So DM's Guild is contracted with Wizards of the Coast. And for years, they banned Greyhawk. Nobody's allowed to produce anything and sell it and make a profit off Greyhawk material. You just can't do it. They'll sue you. The only way you can offer any kind of Greyhawk material is give it away for free, like a lot of us has been doing over the years. You just offer it up on the forums and, hey, you can use this if you want. Here's a map I made. But then like 6 months ago, Wizards of the Coast said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and allow people to produce content for Greyhawk only on the DM's Guild, and you can, but we get half. So if my module,
and it has to be 5e.
Yeah, it has to be 5e. But it can't be sold anywhere else, and we get half. So if I sell a module for $10, they get 5 of it. It's horrible. That's very high. So anyway, that's where we're at. But at least we can do that. So you would think, okay, why don't you just sell your modules? Well, you can't. You're not allowed to because it's Greyhawk. So there's no point. It has to be there. So anyway, I can give it away for free on my World Anvil stuff. But like I said before, World Anvil is online only, and you can't export them as a PDF without a special app, and it's not formatted right. But you can still do it if you wanted to. And I'm constantly updating it until I finally perfect it. And there's 1,500, 2,000 articles. So it's a lot. So it'd be better to take like the whole entire Village of Nob into a module, a PDF module, like 120 pages, and use that as a product at your table. But you don't have to if you don't want to, but it does support the project and makes me happy.
I mean, if you're talking about printing stuff, or getting things printed, you can always print your PDFs, or you can always take copy the website as a PDF and, print that if you wanted to.
Yeah, World Anvil doesn't have, you see what's on the screen here? It doesn't print that way. It doesn't export in this format.
Really?
It looks horrible. If you try to export this stuff, it looks bad. It's very basic. You don't get any of this formatting at all. So like those charts and stuff, forget it. It's all basic. It's like, I use it for my own information, but it's you could do it and print it up. But like this page right here, it'd end up printing like 15 pages, I guess, maybe 20. That'd be horrible. Can you imagine a whole ring binder of these prints?
You're right.
That'd be awful. Better just use it online. But anyway, that's
Well,
what the PDF's all about, the module. I put this all together and package it really nicely, and I actually improve it.
Now, do you use that same template that you showed me the other day about the, God, what was that?
Yeah. It's an app.
Is that, yeah.
It
Is that what you use on the website?
Yeah, it
On the World M?
formats it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I could show you real quick. Let's see if I can't do that. Let's switch screens here. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Let's see.
Greg, you're totally right, man.
Documents. Oh, yeah, I have to go to... I have to go here. There we go. So this is the latest. No, I want Nolb. Where's my Nolb at? Nolb. Builds a Nolb. Version 2. Well, I'll open this one up. Oops. PDF. Well, I'll open up this. I hate when it does this. So now what? I don't know why Doc Hub opens when I try to open something in Google Forms. Why does it do that? Okay, let's do that again. Open. I don't know why it does that. I can't just open it. Let's see.
But you're an IT guy, dude.
Doc Hub, Google. Open it with Google Docs. I don't know why Doc Hub is linked to my Google. I don't know why. I think it's opening now. Try to scam me. Make me spend more money. Nope. Oh, it's loading. Oh, look how slow that is. Come on. Sorry. It's such a big module. It's taking a while to load. Dang it. I really wanted to show this off. I got...
Oh, wow.
Oh, forget it. Never mind. Anyway, yeah. So I was going to show you the module, but I have it on my laptop. I always work on these modules on my laptop. Hey, Greg. Greg's here. We're just talking about you today, Greg. So Greg said the stores are totally linked. Same password. The PDFs are tied with the same library purchases. Yeah, I get that. However, as they say, Wizards of the Coast takes their chunk of the money. Yes. Hey, Greg, did you want to come on our show and talk about your campaign sometime or another? I thought you said that a couple of weeks ago. I think he was the one I was talking about. So
he's right. They're great source books, even if you don't use 5e. Yep.
Oh,
exactly.
I can see how many people are on. 8. Okay.
It was
so
9.
9.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was going to do a video about this too. Do you guys want me to do a review of Judges Guild modules? So this is Teagle Manor. This is the new Teagle Manor. And you know what's cool about this one? It was a huge Kickstarter. See how it's all a lot more. There's even a special note from Bill Webb. This is totally redone, completely redone. Let's find the map. All new artwork, all new formatting, and stat blocks. And where's the map? I'm gonna show you guys the map. The VTT map's cool. The outdoor map is so. It's not like what I make. And let's see. But look at this. They really expanded this module immensely compared to the original from 1977, 75. There's the Temple of the Frog. Let me find the... Hold on. Let me scroll down to the... Maps are all over the place. Sorry. Map. I don't want.
Yeah, I used Dark Tower in my Wild Coast campaign, Judges Guild, Dark Tower. That was an awesome module.
Oh, is there a link? Isn't that unbelievable? There's no links. You can't link the table of contents. You can't click on it. Here we go. Okay, so this is a section of the Teagle Manor. See if I can zoom in. So that's VTT, man. Can you imagine playing this online? Oh, you know what sucks about it? Look at that.
Wow, what happened?
The room numbers. The room numbers and the title of the room is right there in the middle of the room. Okay, there must be a different section for the VTT part. Or maybe you can get it free online. They do that too. Here's another room. There's the mess hall, the bedrooms, the guard room. They did a lot of work on this map. They put a lot of effort into it. Mm-hmm. It looks fairly decent. But let's find their big map. Maybe they have a at the bottom. I'd love to put Teagle Manor. See, they even have their own monsters too. They have a monster, a bestiary section, NPC section. There's levels. There's 4 levels of dungeon underneath the manor too. So they're very simple maps, but they're better than what they used to be. They look better than what they used to be. Okay, I think now that I'm looking at this, I remember now. It's been a while. This came out 3 or 4 years ago. I think you can get the VTT map for free off their website. They're run online. Anyway, I was thinking about reviewing this if you guys were interested. So, sorry, I had to look close here. Greg said, I should not even be watching this right now. I should be sound asleep in bed. I get up in 5 hours. Well, thank you for joining at least for a few minutes.
Dedication.
Man. I appreciate it. I really do. You said Judges Guild was always the bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
I wanted to say something about that, actually. You know what's cool about Judges Guild is it reminds me of the B1 module era. Those kind of modules that feel, but more, they were more imaginative. They had more vibe and flavor to it than TSR products did at the time. Before the tournament modules came out, like the C1, C2, T1, before that era, like when the B1 came out. Judges Guild was ahead of the curve in that narrow time frame. Their modules are really cool. That's all I want to say. Yep. So is there anything else you want to talk about? Before we end our stream tonight, I want to ask you, how is your project coming along with Rhinehurst? Pull up the map.
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot in front of your millions of people.
There we go. There's Rhinehurst right there. So City of Verbobonc is where I start my campaign, and they head south. I run the Noble Ambitions module from Living Greyhawk to start the campaign. But if you go west down that river, that road, the Velverdiver River Road, I didn't name it, is Rhinehurst. And Rhinehurst is probably the second largest city in the Viscounty. And a lot of Wren folk visit there. There's a big presence of Wren there.
Yep. They have a little barge town. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's somebody else actually developed that. But yeah, so I'm handling Glory, Woodstock, and Rhinehurst.
So how are they coming along?
Well, you and I have very different approaches to, how we're pushing this stuff out. I tend to develop from the perspective of historical medieval, demographics and so forth. I say that with a grain of salt because obviously we're dealing with a world that has wizards and dragons and whatnot in it. I see that you've got it nice and blank under Rhinehurst.
I keep clicking on it and nothing's popping up.
Yeah, I know. If only that slacker would get his act together.
Why is it empty?
Why is it empty? Exactly.
I don't
But
get it.
Rhinehurst is all basically Living Greyhawk stuff.
Yep.
So it's kind of funny because one of my players is actually trying to court Rhinehurst's daughter. He's trying to get an edge into being nobility, and that's kind of a fun thing. But yeah. So there's a lot of actual research that's involved with Glory and Rhinehurst, and they're actually very time specific. So Glory didn't even exist as a town before 591, I believe.
Oh.
Shannis, the elven dragon disciple, which is a 3/5 thing. Actually, I don't know if 5e has dragon disciples or not, or sorcerers for that matter. I don't have any knowledge of 5e really at all, honestly. But in Woodstock, if you go through the canon of Living Greyhawk, Glory and Woodstock can't exist in the same time frame because the Living Greyhawk campaign material literally says that Glory is the only stopping point on the Iron Road between Valuna and Verbobonc through the Ironwood. Actually, I should say through the Ironwood at all. And so that means the Woodstock somehow is no longer there at the same time that Glory is. And Woodstock comes from what's that Worth Journal 9, I think, off the top of my head, where is it Jeff McKillop? Can't remember the guy's name, but he kind of threw these little towns in there that the Living Greyhawk people did not expand upon. So there aren't any modules in Living Greyhawk that I'm aware of that cover Woodstock at all.
Oh.
So, in fact, yeah, it's kind of an anomaly. And so in my campaign, basically, Woodstock was overrun by the Great Dire Dark, which, in the Glory trilogy, that story arc about Glory and Shannis and whatnot, basically the Great Dire Dark is destroying the Mist Children, all the elves, the gray elves, the feral kind of gray elves that exist in the Ironwood. So that has its challenges, time-wise, timeline-wise.
Yeah, I don't have Ironwood labeled. I need to add. Ironwood is around that chateau, right?
That Ironwood is the name of the forest. So if you
I misspelled it. I misspelled Iron Road. So the Iron Road goes right down the heart of Ironwood.
Yes. So from Rhinehurst to Valuna that's the Iron Road. And you did spell it wrong. And I guess in the modules, in the Living Greyhawk modules, it talks about how Verbobonc is not happy with the fact that the Iron Road, I should say, is only Verbobonc's responsibility to patrol and defend.
Right.
And so we have these competing interests in the Ironwood, like Shannis, who wants to kill all the werewolves and stuff like that. Who the Moon Lord is controlling all those. The Moon Lord is trying to, make the Great Dire Dark, keep that in check, so on. And Shannis doesn't realize that or understand that. It's just it is a lot of moving pieces that that happen over a period of time in the Living Greyhawk setting, which is why
there's a series of modules.
Right.
I I added it because it was on the Anna Myers map. That's the only reason why.
Yep.
I don't think that area has a lot to do with the Temple of Elemental Evil activities.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
But Ironwood has elves, right?
They have the gray elves. They're called the Mist Children, which Shannis himself comes from. And then he's mostly, and this is a Ron Lundeen creation. Give credit to him for that, because he wrote the Glory series of modules in Living Greyhawk, and it's really well done. I mean, I really, like I said this before, I'm very impressed with the quality of the Living Greyhawk material for Verbobonc.
Well,
And
I think what this area has value is it's another location that an elf character can be from. Also,
Sure.
if a character wanted to be Reni, a Renfolk character background, like a Renfolk pirate or river person for a background character, like he's a fighter or a rogue or something, Reinhurst or a bard. Reinhurst is a great is another choice location for your character to be from. That's one of the I think that's the important part of why this should be part of the campaign, because it gives players more choice to be from someplace different,
right,
versus just City of Verbobonc or Divers.
Yep.
So if you want to be a
Reinhurst,
bard, my recommendation is be from Reinhurst, from Verbobonc City, from Divers, or there's another small town that bards are. Oh, Twilight Falls. Remember, Twilight Falls has a school of music there, right?
I mean, they do in the living. See, this is where we're going to kind of get timelines mixed up.
Twilight Falls is almost done, by the way. So I did cut back on it. Some of the locations that's quite obvious is later timeline, I left out. I didn't add it. Or if I did, I made a comment in that article saying, hey, I'll show you. I put the date in there so the Dungeon Master will know. Oh, I didn't add it to the map yet. Let's see, Twilight Falls. Let's see. I'll pull it up here. Twilight, because I'm still working on Twilight Falls. I was working on Twilight Falls, and then I stopped because I realized I need to get that module out for DM's Guild for the Village of Nold. It's Twilight Falls. So Twilight Falls, I did a video on it already, by the way. So the history is done. All the figures, the notable figures. Mistress Anda Dove, she's the former mayor. The Druidess, brother of the Longstriders of Farlong, the mayor. Dang it. I don't like it when it does that.
Yeah, so, Twilight Falls is another one of those Living Greyhawk.
Yes, it is. So on the right-hand side,
City Project, I think.
On the right-hand side, there's a location 1 through 13 is done. Another reason why I stopped. I need a map. I need a map for this location.
Yeah, the original map for that's kind of a mess.
I don't want to do it. You know how organic Twilight Falls is going to be as a map? That's going to be hard.
Well, that's why Glory is very organic, because it starts off as just a tavern, and I think of it in terms of like Game of Thrones, and I cannot remember the name of the place that's beyond the wall. Where they first where the guys got all those girls. I can't remember the name of that place, but conceptually, I think of that place. Just this out of the way fortified place that's just a tavern in the middle of the Ironwood.
Yeah.
And then Shannis builds around this tavern and makes basically himself a walled city. He's got plenty of material because there's it's the Ironwood, so he makes this huge town out of it. But it is organic because as you proceed through the Living Greyhawk material, every year that town gets bigger. There's more herbalists, there's more loggers, there's
What I mean by organic is the flow of the terrain through the buildings. Isn't that location a walled town?
It is.
Oh, that'd be easy. That's easy.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Twilight Falls is waterfall,
how it spreads
and
out, you mean?
stream
Like,
and hills and cliffs and trees. Ugh. Yeah. Lots of trails, I'm sure.
mm-hmm.
It's bi-level, it's tri-level, it's got varied terrain. So if to do it justice. By the way, Twilight Falls was founded in the 500 Common Year. It did exist in the Temple of Elemental Evil, both.
Well,
right?
then.
So it's here. Oh,
You
so
win.
real quick, Greg said, well, Daniel said on Drive Through GPT, my second monitor, you can still get your hands on Rapanathuk from Necromancer Games. Hey, so you know what I did in my campaign? I did the Shrine of, what's that module called? It's a Necromancer Games called the Shrine of, it's on the map. I'll show you the map. I used that module in my campaign. Okay, so we need to go. Let's just go here. Scroll. These are all the maps. If you scroll down, I want Southern Viscounty. Where's Southern? I want to show you guys something. Come on. Oh, Wild Coast is here, by the way. There's the Lizardman Village. Hey, where's my? Dang it. I'm gonna have to type it in. Yeah, it's not interactive yet. That's why. Come on, stop that. Okay, Southern Viscounty. I swear the map should be here. Let's start from the beginning. Oh, I put it on the Patreon. I remember now. It's on the Patreon. Let's go here. Okay, I'm going to go use this map here. So I'm going to do DM only locations. Scroll down. Oh, it's not here. Okay, sorry. There's a map of Southern Viscounty on the DM's Guild. I'm sorry, on the Patreon. Right where my cursor is, you can see that. So if you go west from Ostberg, there's ruins of an ancient temple there, and I use the Necromancer Games module for that location, and I rekeyed it. It's fully keyed on my website and my private site, totally rekeyed for the World of Greyhawk. That has a lot to do with the Temple of Elemental Evil and their agents, and what's going on with the Blackthorn Orcs and the Giant Clan and the Earth Temple. I put a lot of work into the whole area. That's the Null Fortress right there, by the way. Jagged Fangs Fort, and just like 10 miles south is those ruins. What's that module called? I don't know if you guys know it. No,
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Anyway, it's a great module. It's one of their better modules, and it's perfect. It's perfect. It's got a frog god at the bottom. It's like 9-level dungeon, 9 levels, and like level 7 is the frog god shrine.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I had to redo the whole thing. I changed it to Heronius, a shrine to Heronius. But yeah, so Necromancer Games. Also, if you go just northwest of Ostberg, like a couple miles where my cursor is, that module, the really popular one, the most popular Necromancer Games ever, called the Crucible. The Crucible module. That's that castle, that fort's there, and the map for that fort is also on the Patreon. So I put that fort there. It's on the Southern Viscounty map. You'll see it on the Southern map, and I put that fort there, and that's where I had the Gift of Beauty at for like one day, and then they moved it. So the players are like a day or two behind because they took too long, and so they found evidence that that's where the raiding party went. Then they moved on to the east, to the west, to those ruins, through the Valley of the Shrines. So yeah, I used Necromancer Games for my campaign in that area. My players were having a lot of fun with that. I had the entire war band of Blackthorn Orcs camped out front.
Oh.
It was awesome. The players are freaked out.
Yeah.
They actually snuck into that camp looking for the Gift of Beauty. They're sneaking around.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. I have pictures of miniatures I post before of that encounter. Anybody else say anything? Let's see. Daniel said, I once asked the devs at Necromancer Games what I should follow up with Rapanathuk, and I asked them if I should convert the Bloodstone saga of modules to follow up their work. And they agreed.
Wow. Bloodstone. Haven't heard that in a long time.
So Bloodstone is the only TSR product that used Orcus, right?
Really? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a 3 series modules, a 3 series module series of 3 that used Orcus. It's really high levels. And I think it had mass combat rules with chips. And it was okay.
I was a player in one of those campaigns. It was brutal.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the only kind of work that was ever done with Orcus in Greyhawk was those modules. But Necromancer Games took Orcus and went with it. And Orcus is a huge thing in their campaign world. Yeah. Daniel said that it's a 4 series. Oh, the 4th.
100, geez.
The 100th level. That's insane.
That ain't right.
Did I pop that up?
Yeah, it is insane. Holy crap.
God. Anyway, if anybody's interested, if you're currently running your campaign down in the Ostberg area or someplace that you think that module would be useful in your campaign, I could share some of my notes with you if you need it. I have notes for all the Living Greyhawk modules. I can't give you a copy of the module, but I can give you my notes for running that module. A lot of dialogue, a lot of descriptions, a lot of flavor text, stat blocks. But I'm going to use those notes to rewrite those modules and publish them on DM's Guild, just to let you know. But it's going to be a while before I get to them. I need to finish Nob. After
I've
Nob,
already done it for Pathfinder, though.
After Nob, I need to finish Twilight Falls, but I really need to get that map done. I wish I could just plop stuff down. Oh, I was going to show you what I already did. For those that didn't join me earlier, this is the Baroness Manor in Nob, in the village of Nob. Baroness Manor. So this is the first floor, and that's the entryway. Stairs going up to the 2nd level. The outside grounds are not done yet, and this is the 2nd level. But if you zoom in, it's got a lot of detail, a lot of objects, and try to bring the place to life. I keep going over room by room by room. See, this is the bathroom. I got a pail of water. I got an empty pail. I have a cabinet and another cabinet. I should put stains on the lip of the toilet.
I was going to say, unless there's a dookie in the pail, you ain't doing it right.
Hold on, let's do it. Let's see. Where'd it go? Portal. No, it's not portal. What am I doing? The object. See these objects here? So what I can type in is a stain. Oh, I got stains. And I can change it any color I want. Snap. I don't like these stains are ugly. So let's change the color to yellow. There. Okay, let's go splatter it this way. There. Does that make you guys happy?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. We need stains on the ground, too. A little puddle. A little puddle underneath. There you go. This is what I do all day.
Right.
Room by room by room. I put candles in, and I mean, look at that bedroom. It's insane. This is the Baroness's bedroom, the lady, the Sarah.
Is that Dungeon Draft?
This is Dungeon Draft. I use Wonder Draft for the villages, and I use Dungeon Draft for the buildings. So, and that's her meeting room. That's just where her desk. The players will come in there and talk to her with guards at their back. And this is her bedroom, and this is her private room where she gets makeup on and stuff. And this is her treasure room, and that's a secret door right there. And those steps go down to over here. That darkened hallway right there. This is the secret corridor. So there's a secret door there, going to the main hall. Secret door there, go into that room. Secret door there, go into this barracks. So I'm trying to add. I even added a shrine church area too for worship. So, and this is the kitchen area, cupboards, and the kitchen. So I'm always adding stuff. I'm never happy. I'm always adding more and more and more. And then after this, outside I had to add the stables, and then I need pathways and rails, fences, the grounds, some other stuff. So it takes me forever. Like I can't do it more than 2 hours. I lose my mind. I get bored. Save. All right. Anyway,
Greg's got a question for me.
Greg. So Daniel said the Bloodstone series is in Forgotten Realms. And Greg said, Randy, do you tie Galorian materials into your Greyhawk campaign?
So Galarian is the campaign setting for Pathfinder rules. And the short answer to that question is no, I don't generally. That doesn't necessarily mean that as a little bit of a story here, I had a player who was kind of a gun nut, and he wanted to play a gunslinger, Strix, which is those are both very, very much Pathfinder Galarian kind of stuff. And I never tell on players absolutely not. I usually say, explain to me how the Strix wound up in an Orth, specifically in the Verbobonc region, and hasn't been killed by peasants, or you know what I'm saying. It's like I don't say no, but I need a backstory, and please explain to me how in a world that gunpowder doesn't work, how does your gunslinger actually work? And so he and I went back and forth a lot on that, came up with a solution. And so I did use a Strix gunslinger in my Temple of Elemental Evil campaign, and it worked out pretty cool. So he was a cool character. But in general, I don't tie in Galarian specific material into my Greyhawk campaign at all.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I played Forgotten Realms campaign when it first came out. And the first thing I said, where's all the modules? That's what I said.
Oh, for Forgotten Realms?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, they had a ton of campaign source books, but there was no.
First couple of years.
Like, where are the adventures? Yeah.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Where's the T1 module?
The T1 module.
Because I want to start a campaign, but I got to make all this stuff up from scratch. I don't have time for that. I'm gonna go out and party with my friends. Well, so Randy, yeah, okay. So thank you for answering that for Greg. I appreciate it. Well, we're going on 2 hours on a live stream, and we did cover quite a bit. And I'm glad you answered questions for the people that are watching. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's been great.
So yeah, I do the stream every week, and as a recap of what we've worked on all week, as a status update, because not everybody can follow my 3 to 4 articles I write every day. See what Greg said. The stains will really impress those gals at the cafe. Oh, Greg's been listening to me. So in 3 Orcs Discord channel, while I'm working on the articles in the daytime, I'm semi-retired. And so I spend like 3-4 hours every day at a coffee house. And I got my laptop and I create these articles there. And then when I get home at night after dinner, I work on maps. And there's a lot of there's a university next door, a medical university, and a lot of those students come over to study. They don't like to look at the old man at the table with a laptop. I'm the old man. But the coffee places told me today, yeah, you're our favorite customer. And they gave me some free coffee. I said, thanks. Let me guess, you want to play D&D? Yeah, the people there, by the way, they're all in their 20s, and they never played D&D before, and they want to try it. I don't know if I really want to do it. I don't know if I want to do it. Because if you get 4 players together, maybe I'll give you a sample adventure. We can maybe play it there at the coffee house after they close.
Or play it while you're there when it's open.
Nah, can't do that. They're working.
Get you a little. Oh, it's the staff.
Yeah, it's the staff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm tired of running campaigns for people that don't stick around after a while. All that work for nothing. Drives me nuts because most players these days don't really stick out long campaigns. The longest running campaigns are usually people you grew up with.
That's true. Yeah, my Living Greyhawk campaign right now, like I said, it's been around 5 years, and it's all people that my son and some good friends. Very few like people off the street. They don't usually last very long.
I know. You know, the worst people to join a group is other Dungeon Masters. They're the worst.
Oh yeah.
God. Because I know
Yep.
they're not going to stick around. They're there to either steal your players or they're just there to see, you know, how you run your game, so to help them run their game better. Or they realize they think in their heads that, you know, they see what you're not good at and they think they're better at than you are at something. And so,
Well, and they are. I mean, there's different DMing styles, different RP styles. You
yeah.
know, I'm more of a tactical war gamer kind of thing. Less theatrics, less voices, you know, that kind of stuff. I had a DM with me. He's a really great guy. Love him to death. But his style and my style just didn't mesh.
Yeah.
And it's no what do you call it? No hard feelings. I didn't like how he left. I always prefer to have people have a conversation with me about, you know, what their grievances are. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, sometimes having other DMs is a little. Expectations are not necessarily met by you or them. So
The best people to run, honestly, is people that never played before. That they're not jaded, they're not ruined by other rule systems or style of play. They're the best, I think. And they really get engaged and they really enjoy it. And like the kids at school, that I have a 6th grade through senior year. It's a prep school for college, and those kids are great. They're some of the best role players I've ever had. They actually reenact their deaths on the floor. They're rolling around, dying, choking to death. They're chasing each other with swords and stuff, and you have to keep an eye on them. But they have a lot of fun. They really freak out. You know, stuff that, you know, a lot of us that's been playing for years don't think twice about. They really freak out and overreact to about every little thing. You know, like opening a door is a huge event to them.
Well, remember what it was like when we first started. I mean, it was years and years ago. We were kind of the same way. I remember my first module was the Keep on the Borderlands, or actually no, I think it was like this module out of Dragon Mag that some you know, one of my high school classmates pulled out, and we said, let's give this a try. And I was crapping my pants how scared I was about, you know, doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I you know, that's one of those highs that you get from playing it for the first time.
Yeah, I agree. You know, those are the most fun players, as long as they're not too weird and they're social enough to make friends and play well with others. Then it's perfect.
Yep.
You know, you always have those ones that aren't very good at social situations, and you know, you have to deal with them. But we had a couple students actually leave the school because they were crying at the table because they got skipped in the initiative, and they flat out had a panic attack. And it didn't help that the rest of the kids were staring at them while they were crying. It made them feel even worse and embarrassed.
Jeez.
They had problems. They had mental issues, and I try to roll with it, but unfortunately, you know, the pressure of the other kids too at the table. I had 10 kids at the table too.
That's hard to
going around
manage.
the table, bam, 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 going around the table as fast as I could so they don't get bored. And they want to monopolize the time because it's all about them. And I have to patiently explain to them, okay, it's not your initiative right now. We're going to next. It's her turn now. So she's going to describe what she's going to do, and then we'll move on to the next. I'll get to you in a moment. Just going to wait a little bit. And then they just don't understand that.
Did you put like their initiative on a board or something so they know that they're, you know, when they're going to do their? Yeah.
I have photographs I put up online all the time. I have a DM screen with the cards on top of the screen, and I put them in order. I even print up pictures of their characters on them too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I do a lot. You see all the prep I do for the website? I do that in person too.
Cool.
All the extra stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always doing that kind of thing. I mean, you used to see some of the props I make. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I'm big on props too. I made well, you saw those Verbobonc coins that I made. I 3D printed those, and Yep.
I spent
So
a
I've
couple
got.
$100 on coins from Australia.
Oh yeah, I guess that would probably. Yeah.
Yeah, they were nice looking too. And the problem, you know
Yep.
what the problem with coins is? If you go through a lot of groups, you end up losing them all. Because I buy these leather pouches, they're $10
Uh-huh.
each. And then you put all the starter coins in the leather pouch. You start the new campaign, the first level, you give the pouch of coins to each player. Okay, if this is your money, this is what you have left over after buying all your equipment. And this is how much you got. And so when we're role playing for the first couple sessions until things get out of hand because there's too much money, they start handing the coins over. When they buy stuff like buying dinner or buying the rooms or buying something, and they think it's really cool and it's very tactile. And I usually do that for the first 4 or 5 sessions until they start getting real coin. And of course, I don't have that much coin on me. But the problem
That's why I
is,
got the 3D printer.
you don't see that stuff ever again. That pouch magically vanishes with all those coins. Like, where'd all my pouches go? Where'd all my coins go? Dang it! I have to buy some more for the next new group because they take them home with them and you don't see them again.
Oh, I don't let my players take the props home. I got potion vials and swords and like real swords, and I don't have shields and armor or anything like that, but belt pouches and coins and gems and jewelry, stuff that I've made. I actually just bought a lathe that I'm going to make wands with.
I used to carve those.
Oh, did you? Cool.
With a knife. Yeah. I used to make those a long time ago.
Nice.
What's cool about coins is, in the B2 module, the Keep on the Borderlands, if there's a thief in the inn, there's a thief there. And if he witnesses a certain party member with too much coin on him, he acts a certain way, to where he betrays being a good target for this thief. The thief will sneak up into their room at night and steal their coins. So whenever the players go to bed at night at the inn, I always ask them which cot they're going to sleep in, which bed, and where they put all their gear, because they have to take their armor off. They don't have to, but they should. And they go, okay, I put my armor in the chest. I put this on. I put the blanket up. I wedge the window. There's no lock on the door. Willie, there's no lock on this door. What place is it?
Yeah.
So they wedge.
It's a medieval. They
wedge the chair in there. And then the last thing I ask after all that, where do you put all your stuff? And they go to sleep for the night. The last thing I ask is, okay, well, where's your belt pouch? Where's your belt pouch? Where's your pouch of coins? And they go, you're going to leave it at your waist? You can put it on the bedside table? You're going to put it in the chest? What are you going to do with it? And one guy, he actually tied it around his neck. It's on his chest. He's like, I fall asleep like that. So I rolled. The thief, the halfling thief, climbed the wall, slipped through the window. I rolled again, crossed the floor to the sleeping player. They weren't guarding. So, and then he pickpocketed the pouch from his chest. I rolled again, and he made it every time. And so anyway, the player in the morning woke up, and the sun is shining. It's coming through the shards of the shutters of the window, and it's lighting the room, and it's morning, and you hear the commotion of the villagers out in the keep going about their business. And as you wake up, and then you notice something odd, that your pouch is inside out, laying on top of your chest.
Not nearly as heavy as it was before.
It's empty. Your pouch is inside out, empty on your chest. And he was so upset. So at the table, I put my hand out. It's okay, well, hand over your pouch. I need those coins. And you just see the look on his face of physically taking that pouch and handing it over to me like I was robbing him in real life. It was so interactive.
Yep.
So it's very tactile.
Love it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the best part about face-to-face.
It looks like Greg said, I should have birthed my own player like Randy. Now I'm divorced. I still say and opening a door or opening it wide so the orcs can bull rush and open it slowly so they can have a spear in your eye.
Ouch.
That's awesome. So we can go ahead and wrap this up. It's been over 2 hours on our live stream. Is there anything else you want to add to our work we've been doing on the website, this project?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think we ought to wrap it up. I'm
okay.
Starting to get into my beauty sleep.
Yep, me too. Well, thank you for joining us on the live stream here, and I appreciate everybody for joining us as well. We had a really fun time tonight. We talked a lot about all this stuff. I love it. Well, next week we'll do another live stream at Sunday at 7 p.m. MST time, and we'll do the same thing again. And if anybody's interested in joining our live stream and talking about their campaign or the project, please contact me during the week, and I'll go ahead and schedule you to get you to join our stream. And if any of you haven't been to the Discord yet, please, you're more than welcome to join us to collaborate, share your campaign, or work with or ask questions, and we're welcome to have you there. So.
Do you have, just for the benefit of the people watching, do you have a link somewhere that they can go to your site to see some of this stuff?
Yeah, down below in this YouTube live stream, there's links to my Patreon, my Discord, and my YouTube.
Cool. Yeah. So if you want to see that stuff, it's excellent material. People can click on that and look.
Yeah, if you have questions, so if you talk about your campaign, I can give you suggestions on the material here for your campaign. Just point out things you might not have noticed that might help you. All right. Well, thank you, Randy. You have a good night, Sunday night, and thank you for joining me, and thank you everybody else for joining me. And may your group enjoy your adventure and campaign as much as mine have, and may your dice ever roll through. Good night, guys.
Good night.